Hey, welcome back to Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. First, let me apologize that today's video, which was the one that went up on Thursday about the unicorn, I didn't make a lot of progress on the unicorn. I did, but I didn't. I made more progress than what I showed because that style of video editing takes a long time. And of course, I'm trying to narrate the creative process and all the thoughts. And so that's tedious. And so I don't want to shortchange that, however. I'm being real intentional by doing that. These things that you're seeing here in front of you is kind of my show and tell to kind of underscore the point I'm trying to make. In the 90s, I bought these things. Actually, this I won at Paducah at one of the quilt shows there. I don't know which year I went. It would have been, I don't know, between 92, 94, 5, something like that. Probably 92 to 94, something like that. And this bag I may have bought there. I don't remember where I got the bag. I have it right here so I can clean it up. It's been in storage at my daughter's house in a room that has been kind of like a storage room. And the cats pretty much use it as their bedroom. And I'm very allergic to cats. So I was vacuuming it, and now I'm going to wipe it down. But this was the nemesis of my quilting career. And I don't want little things to hold up other newbies, other beginner quilters. I'm kind of proud of myself. I did not just throw my hands up completely. I just said, not now. I packaged everything together. I have things in a big chest that I keep in the studio, and then in this were my other things. And I did give these things to my daughter, maybe about 4 years ago now, because I didn't expect to get healthier than what I was. I only expected to be getting worse. And how I wasn't able to, ever do anything like what I'm doing now. So I'd given them to her. But so when I got back into quilting, she said, "Hey, Mom, I still have your things if you want them back." And I'm like, yes, because I think when I get this Mars quilt done, I may want to do some hand quilting on it. And I think when Asher's quilt gets done, some hand quilting would be good on it too. The fact that I have my friend Margot's brother and novice PS 700, Pace Setter 700, is going to help. It has a much larger throat space, so it can accommodate a quilt much better. And so I'll be able to accomplish more there than what I could on my little Singer heavy duty, that's for sure. But I like the look of big stitches, meaning fat threads, using the pearl cottons and those kinds of things. And I think it would be good for Asher to experience that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a long ways away from doing that here, but for the time that I start putting together a quilt, I'm typically thinking about the next step and the next step and the next step. And one of those next steps on this is, how's it going to get quilted? This is already bothering me. I'm definitely going to have to not touch my face after touching this bag. It's going to have to be emptied and then kind of washed down for me to touch it much. Even though I vacuumed it, I'm just very allergic to cats. I'm wondering what all's in here. There's some batting. That was an old quilt that I started on doing hand stitching. Let me see what that looked like. I'll have to get you a close-up of it. I want to leave it in there. It's actually not too bad. It's actually not too bad. My fabric choices are terrible. I didn't have a quilting store that I knew about. I know we had one in the area. I don't remember why I felt like I didn't have a quilting store, but I feel like the quilting store did exist at that time. I don't know what the scenario was there. So I'm going to sit here and get these things cleaned up. And this is going to be Lysol down too, just to make sure everything's good and clean before it gets totally incorporated into the house and into my studio. So where are we today on the unicorn quilt? The unicorn quilt, like I said, got much further along than what you saw in today's video, but I couldn't edit any further than what I did last night. I was falling asleep. I really enjoy the editing process, and I enjoy the commentary that I've been putting in bold text over some of the slower sections of video. If you don't like that, I want to hear from you. If you do like that, I want to hear from you. I do want what I'm doing here to be consumable for you guys. So I need feedback from you, what you like and don't like, that kind of thing. Whether it's content that you like and content you don't like. I'm not saying that I'm going to be a yo-yo and just be bouncing around based off of every comment that comes, but I need to take it into consideration. So speaking of things that we like and about programming and content, I've been having some thoughts about changing the programming. And it kind of naturally happened when I added the unicorn quilt and then added the new machine into my scenario. Like all of a sudden, my rhythm was gone. I wasn't working on my Tuesday tech video. My Wednesday comfort and the waiting videos had to be set aside. So some of the technical stuff got incorporated into each of the other videos. And the comfort and the waiting one is having to wait until I get done with the unicorn quilt. And then my Thursday therapy, which was this, kind of got entirely replaced by the unicorn, which, makes sense and that's fine. But I do want to get this done. I like finishing. I'm a finisher. Um, I definitely am a finisher. I don't like things being unfinished. So that's why in general, I like to have, a narrow set of projects. But I'm thinking about adding a sew along. One I just saw Pat Sloan talk about as I was actually getting ready to come over here and talk to you guys. And I guess it's being done by the Back Quarter Shop, but I've overlooked that entirely. I didn't see where they announced it. And they're using the shoreline fabric, which I just got a bunch of, and which I love that colorway, obviously. And I love Pat loads and wanted to do the quilt along that she just finished, but what's in your closet? I got the pattern, and I have that ready for when I can do that, but it just didn't happen. The Susan Aki and gosh, I can't think of the name of the other lady with it, but I'll show you a picture of the book and tell you the name of it on screen whenever I get this edited. I love their books. I have others of Susan Aki's books, and their colorways that they use are really interesting. So I think I'd really like to do a sew along with them. It's supposed to be a year-long sew along. It's intimidating to think about adding anything, so I certainly can't add without taking away something. So if I change up how my Friday videos are, and that's where I'm doing a recap, what this video is supposed to be. If I change up those, which is supposed to be a recap of what we've done during the week, I don't know how much value that has for you guys anyway. I do like the fact that on Fridays, I like to show a quilt parade, but I can incorporate a quilt parade at any time in any of the videos. And I like how I do a shout out. Again, I could do a shout out at the end of all of my videos. So I don't have to make that just a special one day a week content. So the other thing I can change up is on Tuesdays when I'm doing the technical side of a quilting studio, that that could probably easily go away, and you guys won't miss that. If any of that is something that you guys really say, no, I really like that part, that's why I watch your channel, then I need to hear that. I don't think I'm going to hear that. And I think you'd rather see another so long than see that. So let me know and give me some feedback in that regards. And wrapping this up so we can get to looking at the rest of the work I did on the unicorn yesterday. The videos that I've been creating for the unicorn, like I said, they have been long and they've been kind of slow and they've been kind of painful for me to watch while I'm editing them. I'm like, nobody wants to see this, Dawn. You're just, no one wants to hear every thought in your head. But I've gotten some comments, people who I don't know who have been reaching out and saying, hey, I appreciate this. This is helping me, that kind of thing. And that's great. That really is, because that's, kind of speaking to my objective. And that's reaching people who are struggling and saying it's normal. Whenever we're first learning something, there are learning curves and you have to think about everything. Nothing is muscle memory. So I'm forcing myself to be vulnerable. And that's the other thing I said from the beginning of this channel was that I would do that. I'm going to try my best to be open and vulnerable to you guys so that you can, number one, see how authentic my journey is. And also maybe it encourages you whenever you're feeling low. Basically, all I'm trying to say, I'm just trying to wrap this up so we can get back to the unicorn. that my experience going to Paducah and feeling overwhelmed, like I couldn't keep up, but also really not seeing my voice represented there. I thought, what am I doing? It's taken so much time, so much effort, so much money, and time away from my children. So I just packaged everything up, put blinders on, started homeschooling my children, and was a full-time mom, and enjoyed that until I went back to work and, worked corporately for a long season until my health started to get bad. And then I just kind of morphed my professional pursuits until I couldn't do anything else. And then a lot of surgeries took care of my issues, mostly took care of my issues. And then I'm here, doing this channel and trying to encourage others. So that's why I'm being so vulnerable. I'm allowing and pushing and making sure that I am being vulnerable by showing the process on that sewing machine and showing the process of learning the techniques of free motion quilting. I feel like my learning curve for the free motion quilting would have been easier if I had been on my Singer, because I would have had less things to think about regarding the machine itself because I'm familiar with it, right? So I don't want this video to be super long and have to truncate it prematurely this evening when I sit down to edit. So I'm going to shut up and start you right back in the middle of where the footage ended, where you were seeing me finish the eyeball, one of the underlayments of the thread sketching, and that's where we were getting the eyeball done. Of course, you're looking at the left eye of the unicorn. And so what we did is we put down, just to kind of catch you up, we put down a dryer sheet, stitched that in place, and then I started doing some white stitching across it because it is a closed eye. And then I'm putting this pink netting on top of everything. And I just got started on that. And you'll see that process develop. And that's where we're going to start off now. So go and watch that, and I'll see you right back here when you get done. Okay, this is kind of funny. My only other black is nondescript. I mean, it's also from the 90s, by the way. And it's Alleray. No, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Allery Corporation, Allary. And the only other descriptive factor is that it's black. Okay, but it definitely has more of a cotton feel. Whether or not it's 100% cotton, I don't know, but it's not metallic, that's for sure. So I don't know what's going on here with why my thread is bunching up. Maybe it's because it's not suitable for this needle. Maybe it's the stitch length. Maybe it's because it's going through so much material down here, it's not meant for it. If y'all have any idea, I appreciate the input. Yeah, I'm going to cut this so you can see. Can you see that? How it was, that was all bunched up together, not spread out as you see it there, above the needle, above the eye. At least I got to put down some of it. I do like that there's a little bit of sheen. Okay, so how do I get my thread out now? Interesting. There's thread in there. I disconnected it here. I bet you that was a boo-boo. That was a bad mistake. Oh, dear me. Let's see, open up. Okay. Crisis averted. Okay, let's cut. Right, let's pull this out. So what happened by putting down that dryer sheet, it just kind of muted the colors that were on top of the lid. See what's going on the back side now. This is where I did the snout. Is it called a snout on a unicorn? And of course it was gray that's in the bobbin, so all that looks fine. There's no knotting from that endeavor. But this is why I need to start pulling up, and why I was trying to figure out how to pull up my bobbin thread, because that's how you get a mess on the back. And if I'm going to quilt using any of this method, I need to learn that technique, and I think we just figured that out. Because if you have any thread back here and then you start sewing, then you get just knots. Doesn't look too bad though in the places where that has happened. Texture, it's just texture. All right, let's put this good black thread in. I can still use this for hand sewing or for something else, or maybe figure out why it was making a mess. And it feels like it's metal, like that 1% metal, you can feel it. So because it's kind of abrasive, which is not really abrasive, but because it's not sleek, it's textured, it was just not riding through that eye of that needle well. That's this newbie's take on matters. Okay, this goes this way. If I put this thread in so that it's coming off the spool like that, it's going to get snagged on, there it is. It's going to get snagged right there. That doesn't make sense. I'm going to put it on the other way. Okay, thread. Okay, you can tell that the threader had to work a little harder. That's because this thread is a little thicker. I'm lowering the tension a little bit, not a lot. Kind of feels like maybe I should. Maybe that's why this got threaded. Maybe the thicker threads need less tension because they create their own tension. Is there any logic to that? Okay, we're going to use the black and go back over the area that we just went. Oh, I like how that little bit of fuchsia makes it look like the unicorn is smiling. Got caught. Oh, I didn't pull up my bobbin. Oh, why is that caught? I bet it's because I changed the tension. I hope that you can see it coming to life a little bit. I think I need to sketch the outline in the black. Not as heavily as I sketched the gray, because the gray would be more like this shadowing. But I may need to do that in white first. Do that all in white. I think I want to do that. Let me finish filling in this nostril. I've got the black thread there. Nostril, come here and around here and into the mouth and right underneath it, and then do the rest in white so that this gray acts like a shadow. And then maybe the black will be used sparingly elsewhere. Yeah, elsewhere. Why is that not pulling up the bobbin thread? I just saw Ricky do it on the quilt show earlier today. And it worked earlier. There it is. There it is. Thank you. Okay, I'm on a 5.0. I'm going to go down. I'm at a 3.5. I should have clipped those threads earlier. Hey, So. Do you need something? Do you have needs? Okay, give me just a minute. Okay, we are insistent. Sorry, guys. Hang on. I'm trying a different camera technique. I can't see the display, so hopefully nothing got shifted when I sat down. I'm having a thought while I was letting Zoe out. Let me finish what I was doing here, then we're going to go to the table and talk about it. Okay. So, okay. These are actually pretty dang helpful. I'm going to go over the where I used the navy for the eye. I'm going to go over that lightly with the black before we go to the table. Let's go talk about it. Okay, I've kind of made a decision that I will not put anything on the quilt that can't be washed at least once or twice without, completely falling apart or falling off or anything like that. However, so what that means is like my feathers are not going to go underneath this. I'm still going to put this on, but it's more to put a sheen to this area that is the unicorn versus holding anything down. Because I think my stitching will hold everything down as good as I need it. But I do like putting this down. Since I will have that down, the only place I'm thinking about putting anything is on this horn. So I'm thinking about pinning that right there. Maybe use a little bit of glue and put that down. And I think that'd be nice. But then what I want to show you is how, I'm going to leave that like that. I'm thinking about, I don't know if you can tell, but I have some white yarn. It's got a little bit of glitter or something in it, couched inside this netting. And I'm going to try to do that. And I got to think about what kind of stitch that should be. I guess it's just, I'm going to go ahead and pin that because it's exactly where it needs to be. The right arc. So I need to think about what it looks like over the whole thing, but I do like that. That'd give a little bit of texture at the edge and kind of set a perimeter for the body. And if I get this stitched on, and then everything else is top stitched on top of that, and then I can maybe put in, along with a lot of stitching, put in a few things that might last in the wash, or at least a gentle hand washing or something like that. And maybe even some feathers that if they come off, then they get replaced or they stay off. I do like the petals in there too. Those would hold up to being washed. Those would really hold up to being washed. So this is what we're going to do right now, is we're going to get this on the body of the unicorn with anything under it that's going to stay under it. First things first. I use white thread for this and make motions as if, that didn't catch that at all, and make motions as if I'm following a hairline. Then it should make sense. visually. Okay, that's going to go like that. But then, oh, okay. Do I want my netting to move? I think I do. I think that would be lovely, actually. I'm going to try not to overthink like every little angle on this. Leave chance for happy accidents. I like happy accidents. Hope things are going well for you guys. You're watching all this learn with me stuff that I'm deeply engrossed in these days. Thank you very much. I've gotten a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, I've gotten some lovely encouragement from people. So that's why I'm continuing to do it. I almost didn't put out some of this content where I'm going through the learning curve of the machine and all that, because it's easy to get bored watching people do something that drags on. But I've tried to make it, you know, giving you interaction with me as I'm editing, leaving comments and letting you guys know what was in my head so that it's more like you're sitting down with me versus watching paint dry. Of course, I'm not a professional videographer. I'm not a professional video editor. And I am not taking a week to edit any videos. I'm just doing them overnight. But I'm doing the best I can. And I think you guys are appreciating that fact. So I'm putting the needle actually in the thread in the yarn. So the yarn stays exactly where I want it. Because I want that to kind of define my horse, my unicorn. This is going to be slow go. But I'm going to capture it on camera. And if I need to use it or not use it, that's good. And then we'll have it in case anybody has questions about it. I might just sew like this left half and get it secured and make sure it's all working before I try to do everything over here. I don't know. Now we've got to go this direction. Is the netting going to behave as we want it to as we do that? I really think my granddaughter is going to be so super stoked. She loves her unicorns like you wouldn't believe. The horn doesn't need to be that long, but it's folding it up a little bit at the base because it should be a little bit more opaque right there. And put a pin through it just to hold it. There's just no need at this point, I don't think, besides maybe the ear, which I haven't given any thought to. There's just no need for me to sew, put any more stitches down that are not going to be on top of this netting. So the other thing I thought about whether or not this is an art piece for the wall is, again, it's about my time. And I'm learning on this one, so I don't need to treat it like it's extra special. And it is a gift that I need to get completed so I can actually give it to her. And then, if it's something that she just loves and adores, and then when she's more mature and would appreciate a real art piece, then I use it as the subject of a future art piece I give her for her birthday, maybe for her 15th or 25th birthday, assuming my body is still functioning and my mind and my eyes and fingers are still working. If I was a musician, I would create a song. Maybe Sesame Street already has it, but like, this is how we learn by, trying, seeing what happens, asking questions, coming up with an answer, moving on to the next question, moving on until you have another question, answer it, move on, have another question, answer it, move on, learn stuff along the way. A lot of pins right there in that spot. See what happens with this netting as I shape it this direction. Probably should have laid this out a little bit differently before I got started. So I do want to experiment with all the techniques that Natalia, and I don't remember how to pronounce her last name or how it's spelled at the moment, but she was on the quilt show. She was on the quilt show at some point during the pandemic. You look up her name and I'll put it on the screen. You can go and watch her. Of course, you have to be a quilt show member, which is so well worth the money. So well worth the money. Highly value my membership with them. Anyway, the techniques that she was showing about reusing things like this plastic right there and your dryer sheet and your bags, I'm going to be doing something with that. One thought that I have in mind, my very first thought that came to mind, there's been a series of artwork that's been in my head since I moved to the lake. And partly it's because of my personal medical and health journey since I moved here. But I want to do a series that's called The Road Home, which of course can take up so many different connotations. There's a train, a beautiful scene. Every time I go into town and back, there's the main highway follows a train track, and there's always almost always during the daytime there's a long stretch of train on it that you can see for miles, and it's double decker and it's just pretty. And then there's so many different vistas on the road from here to town, and like I could take video constantly, pictures and videos. It's just always changing with the seasons. Of course, you get these just iconic landscapes, you get some more modern views, all kinds of things. So that's kind of what prompted it in the first place, because it's the actual road to here. But also, I feel like this part of my journey is, like the road to heaven. It's like I'm in that season of life. I've had children, I've raised them, I've worked professionally, I have, grandchildren now, and I'm not saying I'm almost dead, but certainly when I moved out here, I didn't know how much longer I would last because of my health issues. As sick as I was, you can't survive a long time like that. So I'm so glad that all that got figured out. But my point is that concept of road to home takes on many meanings. The road to heaven, the road to rest, your road to the familiarity, those kinds of things. Well, you take that and you marry that up with the fact that I live at the lake, which is, I don't know how to define it exactly. If I get a chance, I'll look it up and see what designation it has. But I know that a lot of bass tournaments are held here, and it's a big deal. And there are bass fishermen on this lake out behind my house all the time. All the time. You see them at 3 a.m., you see them at 1 a.m. It's pretty impressive if you ask me. Yeah, I like how this is looking because there's that black thread underneath this white yarn that gives it just enough depth. That's good. Wonder if I should go on the inside of that. Making a art quilt about that train, making an art quilt about the bass fishermen, doing all that out of plastic bags, that gets me excited. And what I like about that is I'm not doing it for anybody. So I can just do whatever the heck I want. And I can, start from the get go knowing that it's going to be an art piece and not something that has to be washed or anything like that. I want to hold that in the back of my mind, hold space for that so I can make that happen at some point. This is going to be a slow go to stitch. because I got to stitch, take out a pin, stitch, take out a pin, stitch, take out a pin. I really do think that I need to just stitch that and get that secured. Do I really need to? Is there a logical reason, or do I just want to like get the pins gone? I am running out of pins too. That's another reason. I won't have enough to go all the way around. Don't want to waste my time doing this if it's not going to work. That's another component. So I could cut this netting and dart it as I need to. It's trying to gather in a swoop. I might like that swoop. I might want to work with that swoop. Kind of think that I do. I'm going to put pins in all the way up to this little crook in the nose, and then I'm going to stitch it to see what we're working with. Okay, my friends. I know I said I was going to use white, but I wonder if I shouldn't use pink. I'm going to use white, and then if I need to add any pink, I can. I think that's better. I'm telling you, my mind is racing about all of the things I saw on that quilt show with Natalia. But I can't add anything else into my studio space here without having a complete disaster all the time. It makes me want to park my car on the outside of the garage and convert it to a messy craft space. Maybe I do that this summer. Maybe I do that this summer. I can probably park my car in there and keep it as a functional craft space. All right, so we're going to change our thread. Put our white thread in, a unicorn body thread. Getting better at this threading, getting quicker. A little bit of muscle memory helps. It's what I've been saying I'm missing on the using the machine, on everything I've been doing. There's just no fallback. It's just brand new information. Like this little lever right here that's pretty impossible to hit. It was easy to do on my Singer. I'm getting better at that too, though. I think I want to work like from the left down to the bottom. Just easier to visualize the flow of the mane that way. 45 minutes left before I need to stop for the day. And I'm very disappointed that I'm not getting further along. Very disappointed. I am making progress, and I made a lot of decisions, and they were made with good thinking involved, right? Like it was a process that I needed to go through. Almost made a big mistake there. Almost had the flannel doubled up. I want to get a little bit higher on this nose so I can start up here. Keeping my speed the same as it was. Kind of afraid to use these gloves because they were sticking to this. I'm going to try not to use them, just kind of grip it with my thumbs. Here we go. Y'all ready? Take a deep breath. Put my pins in wrong. Put them in towards the direction that the needle's coming, so that's uncool. That's looking good though. I can't wait to show you. Let's change our direction a little bit, our angle. I quite like this a lot. This is that congested spot where I said it's going to be take a stitch, take a needle out, take a stitch, take a needle out. I quite like this a lot. This is going to be fantastic. You would think that this yarn that I'm stitching down has no value since I'm pretty much smashing it into the other fabric, but it is providing a little bit of depth and texture, and it's probably exactly what was needed. Let's go look at it at the table. I cannot believe that I have to call it quits and this is all I've got done. It kind of looks embarrassing at the moment, unfortunately, because it just looks like a mess, but I see it differently. I look at this little bit of stitching right through here and I see promise big time. All this right here, it looks like a horse. It looks like a unicorn. I'm in love with that. So that is encouraging to me. I hate it. I have to stop, but there's no video for you tomorrow if I don't stop. So it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to call it the end of studio time, unfortunately, although I could stay up for the next 48 hours and just do this. I'm so enthused. Give me a pot or two of coffee and just let me go. It would be so fun. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what we do with all this extra netting. Not quite sure yet. I may end up cutting it and darting it, or I may work with it and bunch it up in places and stitch it down. I don't know. I still need to give some thought to the ear. I did put a pink petal. I don't know if you can tell. Maybe you can in the picture that I put up. I put a pink petal there for the ear. And maybe it should go on the inside and not on this outside. I don't know. I'll look more at unicorn ears and see what comes to mind. I feel really good about where this is going. It is taking tons more time than I thought it was going to take, but I'm not mad about it because I'm learning and growing as I'm doing it, creating a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of skill set, and a little bit of muscle memory, getting familiar with the machine. It is easier to work with a little bit of speed, just learning these little things that will be second nature eventually, hopefully, because I like to do more of this. This really speaks to me, as I was describing earlier, wanting to work with plastic bags. You just don't know how much that excites me. To do an art quilt about the lake bag here out of plastic bags, yes. When I was working on these not feathers, the hair in this area, and I wasn't having to do the really fine twists and turns in around here where I had all that congestion of pins. It was just so fun. It was just free flowing. It was kind of brought me back to my painting days. So be honest, when you look at this, do you see scary? Do you see laughable?
Or do you see promise like I do? Be kind. You can tell me it's scary to you and still be kind.
I hope you enjoyed that. I really appreciate you giving me some of your time. I'm going to wrap things up here. I appreciate you. Stay tuned for the Sunday's video where I will be getting back into doing Jen Kingwell's block 2 is the one I plan to start on. I'll be working on that starting tomorrow and have a video to show you Sunday. All right, my friends, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.